Okay, take two. All right. Welcome to my channel, Ride, Pray, Love. My name is Helena Das, and I'm so excited that you are stopping by today. We are all about really helping to connect you to source and the medicine of the horse and ultimately rise to your full potential, especially during these changing times. And, excuse me, my nose is running. And today I'm really excited to talk about 5 ways to crush anxiety or it could be fear, it could be doubt, it could be any type of insecurities that are kind of taking you out or slowing you down or holding you back from really pursuing and going after your dreams and goals. And all of these ways are naturally, I might add. And so why you might want to listen to me about what I have to share today. I just want to, let you know briefly kind of my background or part of it anyway, and why I really feel like I can help with this topic. So the base that I'm being guided to share is in terms of anxiety specifically. Not only am I all too familiar with anxiety as someone who really has felt like her whole life, I really, for most of my life, I should say, because that's shifted over the past few years, but for most of my life, I really have felt like I was running, and for many years, I really didn't know what from. Okay. And later on, there was that really special connection or light bulb moment when I was chatting with a dear friend about my passion and my love and my connection with horses, and this piece around them being prey animals and me sort of for most of my life carrying or vibing that victim vibe, right? That victim vibration. And so that was a very special vibrational resonance that I shared with the horses, which is why I know and believe that they have been such a sacred part of my journey and medicine. So that being said, just to give you a little taste or flavor of how severe, if you will, or intense my panic attacks and anxiety was at its worst, and this is going back well over a decade ago, but it used to be so bad that I might be driving to, go see a vet client and to a horse farm, and it might be a new client or something, or even, it didn't even matter because they honestly started to just happen randomly, the panic attacks or anxiety attacks. And I would have to pull over, and stop the car and really breathe and maybe take some rescue remedy, or, if it was really bad, call my partner for someone to talk to. And it was really, starting to get very incapacitating or dysfunctional. And at its very, very worst, like one of the worst episodes that I actually had was I was flying home to New York, a native New Yorker, to see my family. My mom had just had, I believe, I want to say it was either her second or third stroke at the time. I lose track of that. But anyway, and she was in the hospital, and my dad had just left the hospital to come pick me up at the airport. And on the way, on the flight, and I, live in Florida and, was living in Florida at that time, I had all this anxiety come up, during the flight. And by the time we landed, I literally, I don't know what happened. Like I was having trouble breathing, and there's so much panic and fear. I was in that freeze state, right? Like I froze. I couldn't even talk. And the flight attendant was trying to talk to me, and I couldn't, like nothing would even come out of my mouth. They emptied the entire plane, and they were trying to help me, and there was a doctor that they found. And it was kind of funny looking back, not at the time, but kind of funny because I was so, such a state of freeze and paralysis. Like I said, I couldn't even talk. And since I'm of Asian descent, the doctor was like asking me if I spoke English, and there was just all this commotion, and they ended up putting me in a wheelchair and taking me off the plane that way. And my poor dad, as I said, who had just come from the hospital taking care of my mom, sees me getting wheelchaired off the plane. So, I share this, and I kind of laugh about it now, but I really have experienced, quite intense levels of anxiety and panic, fear around public speaking, and, even, doing like videos like this. And so I've definitely learned a few things along the way, some hacks that I want to share with you today for me to even show up and be here chatting with you about this now. So, I just want to give you a little background so that you knew that I was actually, on some level knew what I was talking about. And I will say I have helped many women over the years as well, working with anxiety and depression and other emotional as well as health issues in my practice, in my women's coaching practice, empowerment coaching practice, which I often called FemPower. Anyway, so today, what I wanted to really share with you is a quick overview of 5 different ways that you can naturally crush anxiety in particular, so that it doesn't, again, take you out from living your best life, from showing up, from, pursuing your dreams and goals, etc., because it can be a very debilitating thing to experience different levels of anxiety and or fear or panic. Okay, and so I'm going to start off. For the first one is I wouldn't be, being thorough if I didn't at least cover the diet nutrition piece, because right, we know we are what we eat. And while I'm not going to say that this will totally eradicate the situation, everyone's case is going to be different. But I do know that for me at that time, when it was really, really bad, I was drinking a ton of coffee, and that was a big thing that I needed to cut down on. And I'm just going to share with you like 5 top foods to really avoid, because they will actually trigger and or make your anxiety worse in terms of the nutritional or lack of nutrition, or unaligned nutrition, whatever you want to call it, aspects. So one I already mentioned is caffeine. So whether it's coffee or Coke or whatever, you definitely want to eliminate and or minimize the amount of caffeine that you are taking. Sugar is a big one. That's a huge one. A common sense one. And then any either processed and or fried foods, those are also also been shown to actually trigger and or exacerbate anxiety or panic. Okay, and those were kind of interesting to me, but from my holistic background, actually make a lot of sense, because when we're eating processed foods, it's actually more difficult for our body to digest and assimilate and process, right? And so if our body's already dealing with one stress, and having to ask it to work harder to digest is actually going to make things worse for everybody, okay? So that's the first piece I want to cover. The next one that I want to cover is conscious, intentional breath work. Something as simple as, closing your eyes and just beginning to tune into your breath. There are a number of different practices I've played with over the years. One of them is like, breathing in for 4 counts, holding it for 4, and then releasing for 4. And then a really powerful one is actually to breathe in for 5, hold for 10, and then exhale for 15. That one in particular, I found lengthening the exhalation helped to really release, if you will, and let go of that energy that is not serving us, right? And we know that our emotions are energy and emotion. And when we connect with our breath, we can consciously begin to move and play with the energy, dance with the energy to help us shift things. And it is one of the most powerful ways to actually really calm your nervous system and take things down a notch in terms of the level of anxiety that you might be experiencing. The second one, sorry, that was the second one. So the third one that I want to cover is actually running towards or leaning into your anxiety. So what do I mean by that? So sometimes the things that, and I'm not talking about running into, oncoming traffic or like the den of a lion or anything like that, right? I'm talking about the thing that deep down your inner wisdom is telling you that you need to do, or that your soul's calling you to do, that you keep putting off, or maybe that important conversation you need to have and you keep putting it off because fear or anxiety comes up around the unknown, because you're not sure how it's going to go and you feel like you don't have control over the situation, right? Recovering control freak over here, I get it. And so what I find really, really helpful and important when we sort of tease this apart a little bit is that our inner guidance, our inner wisdom often has the answers. It always has the answers, right? When we get still enough to listen. And, when we can choose to courageously, fearlessly, or even feel the fear and do it anyway, right? To lean into the things that, again, we feel called to do, that our intuition and inner guidance is wanting us to do, or even we may even want to do it, but we have fear around it, right? When we lean into that, or better yet, run towards it, we can very quickly find out and discover that we survived, we didn't die, and whatever happens, right? Whether it's like fear of failure or whatever happens, like, that we are ultimately okay. And the more we do that, the more we practice taking that aligned action, the more we can build that trust in ourselves and really silence doubt and fear and anxiety. So that is going to be my third one, is to really lean into or run towards it, if that makes sense. And again, obviously, take what resonates, leave the rest. And these are 5 different ways I'm sharing with you, which you can tune into and feel into in every situation. You might be, using a different one or a combination, right? So let's see, the next one is really to unravel the root. And this one is a little bit deeper process. And here, where if you are someone like me who has a history of trauma, it could be trauma, like childhood trauma, past life, it could be sexual trauma, it could be domestic violence or abuse, it could be transactional trauma, it could be a physical injury, whatever type of trauma or past hurt or experience that you perceived as either being let down or hurt or heartbroken or being a failure, right? All of those things, right? They get stored in our body, in our memory, and then our mind, our human mind, our ego wants to protect us in the future. And when we go to do something that reminds us of a past situation that doesn't have a good association with it, if we haven't integrated it and mined the gold from it, if you will, then we can have that fear and that anxiety come up, okay, which is a sign that there is some healing that needs to be done. And here, where if we're finding that, for example, in a more intense situation, like I was with my anxiety attacks and panic attacks at that time, when they first started, I didn't realize it, but it was actually my body was showing me about some, I started to, shortly after that, started to have some like memories surfacing that I had blocked out as a child about certain traumatic events that at the time I was too young to really perhaps handle or process, right? But then when we're ready, or when our soul thinks we're ready, right, it will start bringing things up to invite us to take a look, right? And so, really, again, depending on the intensity, the frequency, and the type of anxiety or panic attacks that are going on, there is a time and a place where unraveling and getting to the root of the panic attacks or anxiety attacks on an emotional level, which 90% of the time, I want to say, is going to be linked to some sort of unresolved past trauma or wounding. And so, and there are many different ways to do that. That's one of the deep dive work that I love doing with my clients. And, it's certainly not a one-time quick fix type of deal. But again, if something is that severe or chronic, I think it's very important to do that work so we can get to the root of it and really crush and keep it from destroying our lives, right? And limiting our potential and our possibility in terms of where we are headed, right, in our future. And so finally, the last way that I want to touch on today is to surrender it to God. So depending on your religious / spiritual background or faith, really asking God or the God of your understanding to, help you to take that from you can be a really powerful thing to do as well. And what I have found is when I do that, I'm often then guided or led to, next steps, whether it's, again, exploring diet or going to get some counseling or, whatever it is, right? Doing the healing shamanic work or taking ayahuasca or whatever it is. I mean, my journey it's been an adventure and a ride, okay, over the years. So, when we really can be in this place of just asking for that help and that support and surrendering and releasing it to source, that will, can be, again, one way, a powerful way, a supernatural way to really assist us in crushing that anxiety. So a quick recap that I have for you. We touched on the diet nutritional piece and some of the foods that you definitely want to minimize and or eliminate altogether completely. We touched on using conscious intentional breath work to really calm your nervous system down and get you present in the moment, right? And really just help you, chill. We talked about leaning into or running towards the specific things that you're feeling called to do that are bringing up fear. We also dove in a little bit into unraveling the root of the trauma in more severe, intense cases. And finally, we talked about surrendering it to God. And so these are really 5 powerful ways to naturally start crushing your anxiety, your fear, your doubt, so it doesn't take you out of the game. And the last thing I want to say before I wrap this up is to be on the lookout for, I will be releasing soon 2 things. One will be a really quickie in under 30-second process that you can use to literally reduce or alleviate your anxiety with this special hack. It works like magic. And I also have a free mini course that I'm putting the finishing touches on as well, that you might be interested in, that is where I'm going to be revealing take that back. I'm going to be revealing 3 highly effective hacks to really take, specifically, I'm going to walk you through and guide you through not only the spiritual science and technology behind why I have been using these practices, but also guide you through them as well. So It's really going to help you rock your presence, because that is where all our power lies. And it's specifically geared for those of you who know that you are ready to rise to your next level as a coach, as a healer, as a visionary or wave maker, who is feeling called to maybe stop dimming your light and, start getting more visible and, sharing your message. But, your fear, your lack of confidence, your self-doubt are all kind of holding you back. And you would like some tools to help you shift that energy so that you can just keep moving forward, right, in a very highly effective, quick way, again, in as little as 30 seconds. The processes that I'm going to share with you range between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. And I will share the different times that you want to use them, but I'm really excited about that. It's almost done, almost time to come out of the oven, so be on the lookout for that. That will be a free gift that I have coming for you as well. So and essentially it'll help you shift anxiety, nervousness, fear, or stress around specifically having an important conversation, such as a sales call, maybe doing a live, Facebook Live, or a live video presentation, or like this, going on YouTube Live, or, a webinar, or, even a date, anything where you really want to take those nervous jitters and anxiety and feelings of imposter syndrome and all of that, right, and really shift it very quickly into feeling confident and radiant and empowered, so that you can just show up and be yourself and shine your light. So be on the lookout for that. And until next time, I love you. I do want to, just before I go, if you receive value, thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. It really helps support my channel, and as you likely know, and it is free to do. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear which was your favorite way that you're going to start using today to crush your anxiety. Comment below and let me know. So until next time, I love you. Namaste. Ciao for now.